Hey guys, Chris here. More terrible rainy and windy weather, but today we have a car that I've been wanting to drive for a while. A car which is a direct competitor to my XC90 T8 inscription. This is a 2016 Mercedes GLE500e Plug-in Hybrid. As you can see here, GLE500e Plug-in Hybrid. So this is the direct competitor to my XC90 T8. So quick stats on the car. This has a 3-liter V6 turbo engine with 333 horsepower, but total system combined output is 445 horsepower actually. So that means it has an electric motor with quick mat 112 horsepower. But this has a traditional 4-wheel drive system, so unlike my XC90, which has an electric motor on the rear axle and, you know, an engine on the front axle, this has the engine powering everything, and then it has, if I'm not mistaken, it has the electric motor sandwiched in between the transmission and the motor. So that should give this car much smoother power and make it put the power down better than my XC90 in theory at least. So let's go ahead, step inside the car, take it for a drive and find out what is what. Okay guys, 2016 Mercedes-Benz GLE500e Plug-in Hybrid. So we have an ignition button here on the dashboard, and it now says hybrid ready inside the digital display inside the analog gauge cluster. So this car is actually, I think it's going to be replaced next year. So this is an older platform. I think these came out in 2012 if I'm not mistaken, and it went from the ML, and then in the mid-cycle facelift it changed its name to the GLE, and it has an electronic shifter on the stock here for D, and then we also have drive modes here on the dashboard. We have E mode, which is pure electric. We have E-Save, which saves whatever charge you have. We have now 18 kilometers of charge, and then you have Charge, which uses the gas engine as a generator, and you can hear there it's starting up, and then you have hybrid mode. So let's go ahead and do E mode, and we are in drive, and let's see what is what. And yeah, let's, oh, this is a dead end. Well, we'll try this way. Yeah, so suspension, this car is equipped with air suspension, 19-inch wheels, so rather smallish wheels compared to what I'm used to. 235, 50, 19, so you have a lot of sidewall. But what that does, oh, we can't go further here. What that does, it gives this car a really nice ride actually. And well, this actually has some poke in pure EV mode actually. This is pleasant. 16 kilometers left. This road here is just full of potholes, and yield from the right. Come on. Well, that's the beauty of an electric motor, is instant torque. And yeah, we're okay. So if I floor it, if I put the accelerator pedal to the floor, yeah, it will switch on the gas engine, fire that up, and you know, give us propulsion with both motors. But just in pure EV mode, you have this analog gauge here, which is which shows charge and then electric power, which is actually quite cool. I like that. That's a really nice gauge inside the tach, and the tach is showing 0 because we're on pure electric mode only. And first impressions, this thing feels bank vault solid. I mean, this thing feels solid. Remember, this is a car, it's a bit smaller than my XC90. It competes in the same class, but vehicles have grown in size in the past generation, and this still has the old generation size, so it's more comparable to the old generation XC90. It's more comparable to the now old generation X5, and so it's not, the next generation will probably grow bigger, but I'm pleasantly surprised. This thing, especially on these wheels, I don't know how it rides on 20s, 21s, or 22s, but on these wheels, it rides exceptional, this car, and it just feels bank vault solid. No, the materials aren't as nice as in my XC90. Build, fit and finish seems to be on par. It doesn't look as nice, but this thing just feels really, really solid, and this steering wheel is just very, very nice. Feels very solid. Real metal here on the bottom spoke, and yeah. So out onto the main road here. Let's give it full gas. Let's see what's what. Okay, so it does move about 444 horsepower, but it doesn't move as quickly or as vigorously as my XC90 does. That's my first impression. And when I put my foot down, there was some lag for the transmission to find out what it's going to do, for the gas engine to come on boost. I think my XC90 feels a lot more responsive there, because you have an electric motor which is working independently of the gas engine and transmission, and that gives it just that immediate, almost like EV car thrust. And what was that? Gives it that, yeah. You don't get that torque push here as you do in my XC90, my T8, but still this thing is plenty quick. And what this does have that my XC90 doesn't have is that soundtrack. So put it into charge here so we can listen to more of that turbocharged V6. And you can say what you want about four-cylinder engines. You can say what you want about Volvo's four-cylinder engines, which are basically the smoothest and the nicest in the business. Sorry guys, it doesn't compete, it doesn't compare to a V6. That 6-cylinder rumble, that 6-cylinder refinement, that noise is just so pleasing and so nice. And every time, I've had a few 6-cylinder cars in my life. My first was actually a 89 Toyota Camry V6 with a manual transmission, and that thing was sweet. It sang. And then I've had several BMWs, and yeah, but this thing is just, this powertrain, at least refinement wise and sound level wise, is very, very quiet and very distant. That V6 sits out there out front and is barely audible. And what this car doesn't have that my XC90 has, which is very pleasant and very nice, are the regenerative brakes that just feel so artificial in my XC90 here. I don't know how they've done the regen, if they have proper hydraulic brakes with, you know, an electric drag motor or whatever, a generator on the brakes or on the wheels, but these brakes just feel natural. They feel nice, actually very pleasant. So drive wise, I like this thing, guys. Seriously, I think this is a very, very pleasant car to drive. And let's go into the city here. Let's turn on, let's change up the drive modes to back into E mode. And yeah, the ride on this thing, yes, it's on 19s. I have to point that out, guys, because you can't compare it directly to my XC90, and I haven't driven my XC90 on 19s, especially with the revised suspension they did for that car compared to my old 2016 model. And there's an XC90 in silver. That thing, the XC90 is so damn beautiful. I keep finding myself staring at the XC90 a lot because they are so damn good looking. And here where I live, actually, they seem to be a bunch of XC90s. And there we have some of that weirdness you do get with these hybrids, where the transmission is doing one thing, the engine is doing another, and then the electric motor is doing a third thing. I do get occasional that in my XC90 also, not gonna lie, and you got that here. But still, this thing is really, really refined, and in city driving, nothing, guys, nothing beats an electric motor and how refined it is. And this motor, it feels, it's not as punchy as the one on in my XC90, though having more horsepower. I think it's because it has to go through the transmission to get to the wheels. I think that's the delay. And in that respect, in that regard, actually, Volvo have done an excellent choice in putting it on the rear axle so it can work independently and by itself. So that's quite impressive. So that's a bit disappointing. And when you give it the full beans, the full enchiladas in plural actually, the full enchilada, full throttle, you don't get that EV car push, that instant torque as you get in the XC90. But overall, this thing is very pleasant to drive here on cobblestone covered streets. It's just so silky smooth, this suspension. As you guys might have noticed, I really do like this car. I think it rides exceptional, rides better than my XC90, but again, 22s versus 19s. It's dampened so good. It has really good body control. Yes, this is a smaller car, but I think it weighs about the same as my XC90. It feels very compact, especially in the city. It's really nice and really easy to drive. You sit high up. You have this very nice greenhouse. Outward visibility is good, though the mirrors are a bit, they're tall, but they're not very wide. It's very quiet. This drivetrain is very smooth, and it feels proper luxury, even though this car has a total blacked out cabin, which I'm not the biggest fan of. The car just feels luxury. It feels so solid. It feels like a Mercedes. It's the best way to put it. We do have a few negatives. The trunk capacity, the cargo capacity is seriously penalized because the battery pack sits in the trunk. These seats, you can't adjust the length of the cushion. They're just too long, and I don't have the longest legs. I don't sit comfortable in this seat. The transmission going between drive and P is a bit laggy. It's not, my XC90 is just instant. When you put it into drive, you're in drive. When you put it into reverse, you're in reverse. Mercedes also has some really weird switch gear that I can't get used to. You don't have stocks on the right and on the left. You only have a stock on the left, which does the windshield wipers, the front and rear windshield wipers. It does the everything. It does everything. Other than that, negatives, well, it's not the prettiest SUV anymore. The inside doesn't look too modern anymore, but it still looks nice on the outside. Don't get me wrong, guys. And it does look and feel nice in here, though it doesn't feel the most solid. But it's just the driving experience is very nice. I really do like this car, and the best thing of this car is that V6, the sound and the pull. Though not the most torquey, not the most instant power plant in the world, it does move when it finally gets up and going. It really does move. It really does fly, and it sounds really nice, guys. So there you go, guys. In this rainstorm of a weather, my test drive on this, the 2016 Mercedes-Benz GLE500e. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, guys, oh, before I forget, thanks to Thomas, my friend here at TS Autosolg, for borrowing me this car. Currently for sale. Link to his website in the description down below. As I said, for more car content, as always, guys, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.